It is said that once a mind has been stretched to a new idea, it will never shrink and go back to the original state. And that is true because that's how we expand. There are three obstacles that you will ever face on this journey of NOFAP, semen retention, and sex energy transmutation. Welcome to another video on men's superpower. I want to share these three ideas with you. They are what I have experienced in my own recovery journey, as well as what I have noticed, observed, and worked through with my coaching clients. My hope is that once I share them with you, they will go in your subconscious mind and work their magic there and eventually come back up into your conscious mind as inspiration, motivation, and the will to take action. I wish I had somebody who would explain these three things to me because their psychological benefits are so great. They can set you free. One man can watch this video and that can take him leaps and bounds ahead in his recovery. I hope that's you. I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. You are in the right place. Three major obstacles. Obstacle number one, self deception. Any addict has addictive thinking. Any addict is operating off addictive thinking. And within addictive thinking is the primary notion of self deception. The addict deceives himself. I'm going to say himself because I am specifically speaking to men who are addicted to pornography and masturbation. The addict deceives himself. The addict lies to himself. The addict thinks things like porn, and in fact, I've been told that by men, you know, in my hard times in life, porn has always been there for me. Porn has always helped me when I needed help. It's a false sense of security. It's a false sense of intimacy. And the addict thinks that he is actually having a good time and a good experience with porn. He thinks that porn is there for him and that each time he ejaculates and he gets the benefit of dopamine release, that's comfort, that's intimacy. Well, that's until it's too late, because until the brain has been damaged, until his life has been damaged, until he's no longer capable of maintaining his livelihood, until his family has been dismantled, until he loses his job, until he is running out of financial substance. You understand? Until his life collapses. And even to that point, even when his life collapses, he may still he may still be deceiving himself that the damages aren't that bad. In fact, as he's experiencing the damages, when he goes and watches porn and masturbates, he feels relieved. He feels comforted. It's a false intimacy. In that self-deception is the inability to evaluate his need for help. Yes, the addict is unable to evaluate his need for help. And for example, a man would come to my page, go to my Patreon, and checks the different tiers of coaching that I have. He will contact me. We will talk. I will answer his questions. We'll go back and forth, whether through IG or email. Then he's still stuck as to making that move in selecting which tier to finally lock it in and begin the coaching process, right? And he says things like, yeah, man, I just want to get rid of this addiction. I just want to make sure that I can really use your service. I just want to make sure that you can really help me. Yeah, I've watched your videos, and it seems like you can help me, but I just don't know. And he keeps going around and round and round. Eventually, some of them purchases, and some of them stop just altogether. Eventually, they just stop. They can't seem to conclude with themselves that, okay, I need this. This is good for me. This is going to help me. And I'm choosing it. I'm deciding and I'm acting upon it. So that's a major obstacle. If you haven't already realized that, you yourself are deceiving yourself. Another way that the addict deceives himself is through exposure. So let's say the addict will go to the club, watching Triple X videos, watching twerk videos, listening to explicit music, puts himself in environments that serve as strong stimuli that will eventually lead to a relapse in the case of porn and masturbation, right? And he thinks, oh, I'm just going to have a good time. I'm just going to watch, man. I'm just going to observe, as though willpower is enough, right? I'm just going to observe. It's just a video. It's not going to hurt. I mean, it's just a song. It's not going to hurt. It's just a picture. It's not going to hurt. And of course, we know those stimuli eventually create a pressure on the brain, and that eventually leads to relapse. The same thing with alcoholics. It's just one drink. I'm just going to have one drink. Babe, I'm going to the store to get one beer. I have coached women, actually, who have had this kind of problem with their boyfriend or husbands. Babe, I'm just going to the store. I'm in the mood for just one drink. I'm just going to get one beer. Watch. I'll be back. Of course, he never comes back with one beer. He comes back with a case, with a 6-pack of several cans and several bottles, right? It's always like that. I'm just going to light up one joint, baby, just one joint. But it's never the case. And that's self-deception. That's self-deception. Obstacle number 2 is the addict's inability to decide. The addict loves to be in a state of confusion, in a state of, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I am to do. Well, hey, it is what it is. You see, I'm in a crisis. It's, I don't know. I'm confused. And in that state, he feels stuck, unable to decide, unable to pick a decision and hold on to it. And here is why. The addict brain has learned to reject responsibility, right? And of course, that's one of the reasons in the first place we are addicted to whatever that might be. It's because we have thrown away the responsibility for our own lives, and now we are taking recourse to this habit as a way of coping with the stresses of life, as a way of coping with the wounds that we experience, with the fears and the hurts and the pains that we experience in life. So we don't want to take responsibility to cure these things, to work through them. We don't want to do that. So therefore, we run away and hide and engage into this self-destroying and self-destructive habit in hope that somebody else will take care of our responsibilities. You understand? So the addict cannot decide because in deciding, and you may have heard, once you pick one option, you automatically reject all the other options. Once you pick one thing, you automatically say no to the other millions of choices available. And the addict is afraid of that because once you pick one thing, you not only say no to the rest of the things, but you also have to suffer or put up with the consequences of your choice. And the addict is afraid of that. The addict's brain is not strong enough to face the reality of, by choosing this, I've excluded all these other choices. And worse, I have to face the consequences, whatever that might be, right? And it could just be a job, or it could just be purchasing something. And that inability to decide stems from the addict's inability to take responsibility. And that comes with a lot of consequences because we know we cannot live life without taking responsibility. We cannot live life always pushing our real life to the side, hoping by a stroke of fate somehow our lives will be organized and will be together. That doesn't work, unfortunately. Obstacle number 3 is the addict's inability to follow through. So, should the addict, by a stroke of luck, make a decision on something, right? So they finally decide on, let's say, for example, purchasing a coaching tier on Patreon, right? I'm using that as an example because that's been where I've encountered a lot of these problems besides my own experience a few years back. Then as soon as he purchases it, he becomes almost unavailable. We can have the first conversation that sets the tone. I get to know him, he gets to know me, and we get to work on a plan. And the plan is in its infancy stage. And suddenly, I text him, I can't get him. Call him, can't get him. Some of them I won't hear back until 3 weeks, days. If I call, then I might get a text. Every now and then. I've had guys who actually, until the coaching contract ends, well, not contract, but until our coaching ends, it was never possible to get them, whether through a text message or through a phone call, or for us to have our scheduled meeting sessions. It was never possible. Now, some of them do pretty well. They have strong wills and they can evaluate their own needs, but some of them are unable to follow through. And I'm sure you have faced that, right? The addict experiences hyper mental activities, right? So after he makes that decision, it's hard for him to follow through because he can't. His mind is filled with other things. His mind is filled with other preoccupations and he forgets. And of course, when I text and when I call, that puts him in a state of anxiety, and he can't choose. He can't quite pick up the phone and change his current vibration by talking to me, because whatever vibration he was in, that is his home vibration. He's been in that vibratory state for a long time, and his mind is preventing him from changing that vibration, because once you change your vibration, you change your frequency, and you therefore change your attraction. If you're aware of these three obstacles, you are automatically empowered to not only spot them when you experience them, but also to take corrective action, because it will come to you. Oh, okay, this is self-deception, because I do know if I go that route, eventually I will relapse. Okay, so now you can take corrective action. Or when you're faced with an ability to decide, you will know, okay, I am being ambivalent right now because it's hard for me to decide because I'm avoiding taking responsibility. Then you can push yourself, or you can will yourself now to take action. And also, if you realize your inability to follow through on any commitment, you will be like, okay, this is the third time they have called me and they have not got me. This is the third time I have postponed this thing. It's because I'm avoiding following through. It's because I'm afraid. I don't want to change my current vibration. I don't want to change my current state. That's what I'm experiencing. So my hope is that you are better equipped in understanding your state of addiction. You are better equipped to face the challenges on this journey of recovery. It's not easy, but it's possible and it's doable. There are many men who have done it. And I wish I had somebody who would explain these two things to me, because their psychological benefits are so great. They can set you free. One man can watch this video and that can take him leaps and bounds ahead in his recovery. I hope that's you. Remember, you are king. You are a great man. You are wonderful. Your life has value. Stay king. Until next time. Bye now.